What is going on, Busy Bariatrics? I'm Rob, your favorite VSG man turned bariatric coach, here to help you stop white knuckling your way through chicken, broccoli, and diet air meal plans. Ditch the burn boot camps that leave you sweaty but still stuck, and finally fix the habits, patterns, and behaviors that got you here in the first place. Let's get gritty, let's get honest, and let's get busy. Before we get started, though, if this episode seems to hit, anything resonates with you, can you do me a solid? Can you screenshot it, tag me and Lisa, and share it with someone feeling like menopause is the reason they're not losing, or if they're struggling with being a slow loser, or even if they're just like, man, Lisa's pretty awesome because of the Squat Your Spouse Club. We're going to cover all that, but no one listens to the end of these episodes and the research shows it. So I put this all up front so everyone's there. With that in mind, if you're looking at the person who's politely nodding, it's because not only is she an amazing client, but she's also on the payroll. So take whatever that means to be. But hey, Lisa, what's going on?
Not much. Just chilling in my little office. You can see my little walking pad in the background. It's a very busy bariatrics office.
I am loving this evolution. For those of you who do not know, Lisa is not only a client, like I said, but she has fallen back in love with training, nutrition, has gotten her NASM personal training and nutrition certifications, and now is in charge of all of our programming, which I had a really tough time letting go of. But I have to tell you, I couldn't put it in better hands, because if there is someone who exemplifies lifting heavy, consistently showing up, working through injuries, I couldn't think of a better person than you, Lisa. So tell me a little bit, like, why did you have bariatric surgery and why did you sign up for Busy Bariatrics?
So I was a chubby kid my entire life, like from infancy. And so starting at age 9, I've been through every diet. My parents brought me to Weight Watchers for the first time when I was 9 years old. So I've been fighting this fight my whole life. Yeah.
That is young.
It's kind of nuts. And I hit a point in my 40s where I was just like sick of thinking about it. I was, it was finally at the point where I could do something for myself instead of because somebody else was on me and wanted me to do something. I made the decision to get bariatric surgery, and I got the sleeve in November of 2022. I was 47, and Busy Bariatrics. I got stuck about 6-8 months out. Just the scale stopped moving, and I was quite far from where I wanted to be. So I was kind of looking for what was the next step, and my bariatric center, although great at surgery, was not so great at the after support. And so I reached out to Rob, and we had a chat, and the first thing he asked me was how many calories I was eating. And I was still eating like 800 or 900 calories. And I was 8 months out. One of the first things we did was slowly increase what I was eating, because I wasn't getting enough protein. Those boilerplate recommendations of 60 to 70 grams of protein a day are just not good, especially for somebody who's as active as I was.
I think it's very common. And the cool part was Lisa is so ordinary in the sense of, we hear this all the time, of she had a great surgical center, which I know because we're both New Jerseyans, and it really is a top quality program. But what people, I think, kind of get the misnomer of is they think like the surgery center is supposed to take care of you for life, when in reality, they're really just supposed to get you healed and back on your way. And it can be very challenging. Like, what do you do after you stall out? Or what do you do when the 800 calories doesn't work? So what were some of the quick things that we started to do right off the bat, if you can remember?
So we definitely, we came up, we actually brought the calories up probably about 200, 1 to 200 to start, and then started inching up. We definitely raised my protein goals. So, that was interesting, because we were up. What was interesting was for somebody who loved to eat and couldn't eat enough, all of a sudden I was struggling to eat, which was really strange for me. But I had also been feeling exhausted. I was going to Pilates like 5 days a week. I was walking a lot, and I had no energy. So as soon as the calories started to come up, I started to feel better. And then, of course, I was chomping at the bit to get into the gym.
It was something I really enjoyed, and the best part I think of working with Lisa is Lisa kind of comes in, she says this is what I think I should be doing, and then we kind of craft the plan around there. And she does a great job with our clients as well of not just really telling them what to do, but more of what do you think the direction is, where do you think I can adjust and make a great plan. And we slowly started dripping away from Pilates and
Mhm.
really getting you back into the gym. What were some of the hesitations you might have had of getting back into the gym during this point?
I wasn't unacquainted with it, but I also hadn't really done an organized program. Like, it was kind of like I'd go into the gym and I would be like, okay, I need to do some arm stuff. It was very loosey goosey. So I kind of felt like on some level I didn't know what I was doing, even though I'd spent a lot of time in the gym when I over. So that was a little bit of hesitation. There's always that feeling of like apprehension and almost embarrassment too, where you're a heavier person, you're not necessarily entirely sure what you're doing. You feel a little afraid of, a little observed, I guess is what I would say. So that can be hard, but we really systematically went at it. We actually have a breakdown gym intimidation program that we give to our clients and that I did myself to get you acquainted with like some of the standard lifts. And and there are great videos, and actually we have a great library now that Rob and I've been working on of videos, instructional videos for those exercises. So I felt like I was going in equipped.
And it's a shameless plug, but I also love with Lisa. Lisa always brings to the table, how can we get better? And as an assistant coach, like that's really hard to teach to everyone, the idea of like, hey, we should do this. And because Lisa was still so freshly post-op, she would notice when we originally started doing workouts, we would like pull videos from YouTube or whatever our coaching program's library was, and they were fine, but Lisa really did challenge us to be like, hey, we should really be explaining how to activate the muscle, how to make sure you're doing it right, to form cues and everything else. And the cool part was I would go back and forth with Lisa, like, well, what can we get into 60 seconds? And we really did hash out exactly what needed to be covered. And then she went through a 300 exercise library and started with, here's the ones we need today. And here's the ones that we will probably need in 3 months, and really mapped out a clear vision. And if it wasn't for her speaking up, we probably still would be using those videos. But now we have this 250 as of this morning exercise library that continues to expand. So we explain how a bariatric patient should do it. It's the biggest bariatric specific exercise library anywhere in the world. And we have that because of Lisa's ability to just come up and say, hey, do you think we could do this? And me kind of saying, like, yeah, I guess I'm just going to record a lot more. But it's
Yeah,
been
it
awesome
was
to
a
see
really
that
good
growth.
thing coming out of the program because I was using those videos and when I was working out. So I knew where those videos weren't quite making the grade too.
Now, as Lisa started with us, we got her back into the gym, but nutrition was always kind of like a sticky wicket because Lisa, you were down at like 800 calories. So traditionally, like even for the point that you are, we do like to get the calories a little bit higher up based on the person. But then, like, we weren't really seeing what you would see in other patients where, like, hey, we make a couple adjustments, like, oh, we lose 5 pounds fast, or oh, we lose 7 pounds fast. Lisa is traditionally what we call a slow loser. So, in your own words, what would you say a slow loser is? And then I'll kind of explain how we coach it and why you were such an awesome client with it.
So I will say I probably did lose 5 pounds at first because
Yeah.
that initial adjustment did make a difference. Um, I always say that I've lost 137 pounds. I always say, and Rob always says, I lost it a half a pound at a time. And we would go through, maybe it was a pound, maybe it was half a pound, and 3 pounds a month, but bit by bit, we chipped away at it. But I was also recomping, and it helped me shift my focus so much, which was really super. I mean, it just was the best thing that could have happened, is taking the timeline off of it and refocusing my goals. Yes, I still wanted to lose the weight, but I was really getting excited about the way my body was changing and how strong I was getting. So yeah, it was consistency all around, right? Consistency in the gym, consistency in the kitchen.
I think one of the best things with you, Lisa, is you really took off the timeline and really just fell in love with the work. And for so many people in the bariatric community, we see it in social media, we see it in support groups. We see this idea of like, okay, we get towards our 10-month mark, and then because it slows down, people say like, you know what, I guess I'm all done. I don't even have to do the level of work that got me to there. Lisa really, we didn't like reinvent a lot of the wheel. We just continued to do the work and said, we're going to be patient, we're going to lift heavy, and we challenged the weights. And I think that's probably one of the things you now, as a trainer, really pride yourself on. Why is challenging the weights or even double progressive overload so important for a bariatric patient?
Sure. First of all, when you lose a lot of weight, you lose a lot of muscle with that. So, part of what you want to do is gain back that muscle. But muscle is also metabolically more efficient, which is to say that you're actually burning calories for a longer period of time, the more muscle that you have on your body. And it's also really the thing that makes your body change shape. You've got that, yes, the fat loss is coming, but the muscle is really what's sculpting you. And it's a place that you see a lot of the changes. The other thing is that it's just a confidence thing too. Like if you can feel like a badass in the gym, like that's where your focus is. And it's not worrying about whether it was a half a pound this week or it was up a half a pound this week.
And it was so cool. So when we do double progressive overload, some of the things that we really teach is making sure that you're increasing the weights as well as increasing the reps. And watching Lisa grow in the gym was such an awesome process of me coaching because you don't notice it. And that's probably what, like, I see a lot of young coaches really make mistakes on, is thinking that their clients are all going to have these massive leaps. Whereas you really want to grow these systems in place, which you did an amazing job of, and then just kind of watch it invest over time. And I would, I would get stuck in the granular. I'd be like, okay, she went up about 5 pounds on her squat here. She got a couple extra reps on this bicep curl here. And then next thing you know, I'm like, oh my goodness, she's squatting pretty close to what I'm squatting. I better start picking up the pace. She all of a sudden hit this amazing milestone that she wanted to get close to. Do you want to kind of talk about like how your squat has defined who you are and what you're capable of?
Kind of my thing. So I guess it was probably at the point where I got my squat over 200, where it just started getting really interesting. And I was like, I'm squatting almost as much as Jeff, my partner. And Rob said, I bet you can do it. And all he had to say was, I bet you can do it. And it was 240 pounds, I think. No, he was 220 at the time. So I got or 230 or something like that. So I just got under the bar and I did it. And then the Squat Your Partner club was born.
Squat your spouse. Kind of Squat your spouse.
Squat your spouse. So yeah, I've been squatting my spouse and now I've gotten past my spouse. So I'm actually putting up a 240, 245 now. Yeah, but it was a weird little confidence booster thing where it was just, and I trusted Rob. So when Rob said, I think you can really just do it, I just did
it. It's definitely like one of those things as a coach, you really want to like put the carrot relatively close to, the client so that they kind of see it and they kind of work towards it. But the beauty of working with Lisa is I would pretty much give her actionable things to work on. And then she would come back by her midweek check-in and be like, here's already what I got completed. Here's what I need adjusted. Here's how we can kind of move forward. But of course, like life, it started to happen and Lisa actually got a bit of an injury. Can you kind of explain what happened and how we kind of worked through that?
Sure. I basically had a pinched nerve in my neck, but it was a pinched nerve in my neck that was sending pain around my forehead. So I was like getting these debilitating headaches. Deadlifting was particularly bad for that. So I went to the doctor, which is what we tell all of our clients to do if they're having pain like that, is that immediately go see a medical professional. So we identified the problem. I got into physical therapy And I had to be on the bench for a little while, which was tough for me. But we dialed in the nutrition. Like we just doubled down on making sure that I was tracking, that I was eating enough protein because my body needs it to heal. And I was going through PT. And then as I was transitioning out of PT, Rob and my physical therapist were communicating through me. Rob would give me the workout. I'd bring it over to the PT and the PT would go, okay, you can do this, but don't do this. And we started making adjustments. But right out of the gate, we did a kettlebell workout once I was like back. And it sticks out in my mind because it was really the point where I said, oh my God, my body's changed. Like the shape of my body is changing. And I think Rob was like, you're Ving out. So everything just sort of started to change, but it was critical that I stayed on my nutrition because that can go sideways real quick.
Two main points I really want to cover on this is I almost wish every client got injured at some point because I think it's easy to work when it's all, I know it's horrible to say, but hear me out before anyone comes with pitchforks. When you get injured in your bariatric journey, I always say that's like a very pivotal moment because one of two things starts to happen, especially with people who have grown up in diet culture or struggle with dichotomous thinking, which is this all or nothing thinking. Is it can really spiral into, okay, well, if I'm injured, there's no point to worry about my nutrition. And if I'm not worried about my nutrition, why am I really working with a coach? So why would I keep the coach? They sometimes leave. And that, if anything, is the time you need to stay even longer. Lisa did an amazing job of like, hey, told me immediately where the pain's coming. And our first answer is always go see the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And then we worked with the team to make sure we had a clear plan to bring you back stronger. And more importantly, what I wish everyone, even if you don't work with us, if you're injured, go get that thing checked out whenever you get injured, but then also double down on your nutrition. And Lisa I think it almost is like, when people lose part of their vision, all their other senses get heightened. Because Lisa could not lean on working out, she really dialed in. I mean, started measuring in grams, made sure that like the meals were timed, kind of figured out what's the exact meal I can eat every day for breakfast. How do I incorporate different, like I could go on a litany of things, and slowly and surely she started to develop what's called a V taper. And a V taper is essentially most female clients think like, okay, I want to grow the peach. I want that lower posterior chain of the glutes, the hamstrings, those nice legs and butt. And the thing is, that's only half the hourglass. The other part that makes your hips look curvy is by shoulder and back development. And because Lisa was pulling so heavy, progressing her muscles, her back started to develop and did not look bulky at all. She's just shown pictures the other day, and she looks phenomenal in her dress because she has tricep definition. Her posture's better from how her back rests.
Yeah.
Her pecs are higher. Like everything has come through on you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you choose in the moment that you're dealing with an injury, if you choose to make it just another pivot point and you really choose to dial in, it forces you to deal with some of your food issues and really heal your relationship with food, because ordinarily it would be a time that you would eat. And I just didn't want to lose all the progress. I mean, I was too invested in it, and I was too invested in taking care of myself to let it slip away. And I became very, as I say, lather, rinse, repeat with my food.
And you did that. It was a great show of effort on your part, and the effort gave us the results that you really deserved after bariatric surgery. Now, while all this is going on, and if you're hearing this, Lisa's slowly losing about half a pound to a pound after that initial loss. We're increasing her carbs as well as her nutrition to reflect our goal. And this was actually one of the coolest parts is, do you remember the first DEXA scan that you got after working with us? Do you care to share like kind of what you noticed in the numbers with that?
Well, so I went in and so I get my DEXA scan on my birthday because it's my own little peculiarity. But I went in and I was talking to the person who was running the test, and I told her that that I had lost a lot of weight and was happy with my progress and all that. And then somebody else overheard and came in, and they started looking at my numbers as they were coming up, and the guy said, I've never seen numbers like this for somebody who's lost that much weight, because they're so used to seeing muscle loss. My bone density was excellent. It was phenomenal.
I think that's one of like the happiest parts that we saw. And then the other part that I always remember is Lisa even shared into the group. She's like, hey guys, they calculated how many calories I'm supposed to be eating. Rob has
Get
me
on.
exactly where a DEXA machine says I should be at. Now we tweaked a couple things to get, I think, a little bit better of a result than if the DEXA scale went through, but it was just a testament of when you have that good coach-client relationship, there's a level of trust that really builds, and it was cool to watch you go through this. And all in the background, I don't think I realized this even until you brought it up a week or so ago. You were like going through perimenopause through all that. Can you kind of explain like some of the challenges or how you knew you were going into perimenopause and how this could have affected your journey?
So I was perimenopausal before surgery. It started with irregular periods, and I'd always had very regular ones. I was having some sleep disruption, some hot flashes. Night sweats were a big one for me. I had really bad night sweats. And I will say too, we think of irregular periods as being irregular, spacing farther apart, which at points is true. But sometimes they come closer together too. It just starts going wacky. So I knew going in, and I was in the middle of that year. You're not officially menopausal until you've gone without a period for a year. So when I had my surgery, I was in the middle of that year. And it was interesting because I finally was declared, about to be declared menopausal, when, because of where I was in the process, and because before I came to Rob, I was eating so few calories, my gynecologist said, we need you to eat more because we need to make sure that you're in menopause and not starving. So, it made a huge difference. And that's something to be very aware of, is that, and we tweak macros a little bit when people go into menopause. Like, we bring the fats up a little bit. There are some small changes that happen, but it just underlines what we say about everybody, menopausal or not menopausal. You need nutrition to fuel your body, and you need to make sure that you're getting the nutrients, and you're also getting the fiber, and you're getting the vitamins, and it's not just all protein. So yeah, it was an interesting transition.
It's funny because that also happens to bodybuilders and bariatric patients when they are at a severely low level. Your body naturally says, like, look, we can barely function ourselves. We cannot function a human inside us. And it almost shuts down your menstrual cycle with it. So it's one of the reasons why I think when I see women, not just the bariatric community, but anywhere else experiencing the symptoms of perimenopause, a lot of the times, if they've been eating at like 1,200 calories for a really extended period of time, they're trying to cut fats to kind of, keep that low fat diet or keep a calorically low balance. It sometimes finally triggers your body to say, like, look, we're kind of not capable of having a period on this little bit of energy. But what happens is, as we gently increase those numbers up, it's almost like you're fine tuning a radio. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom. And when we got to those numbers, I feel like you took off to a whole new level.
Oh yeah.
Can you kind of explain how
I can tell you, because it was my birthday last week. Then I went for a DEXA scan again. So now I keep in mind that I am finishing up year 3 post-surgery. Between last year and this year, I took off 40 pounds. So talk about slow losers. But my last 40 pounds. So I am now where I need to be, and I'm in maintenance and thriving. And I did that as a menopausal woman. And
you did
so
that as a menopausal woman, as a bariatric patient, as someone who is lifting heavy 3 to 4 days in the gym and is also dialing in her nutrition. Keep going.
The biggest disruption to me of going through menopause has been the sleep. And it is an issue for me. It makes you need your recovery time, because recovery when you're lifting heavy like that is really important. And so you have to work with your medical team and with your nutrition to try and minimize that sleep disruption. But everything else, Rob never heard me blame anything on menopause, because I kept losing through menopause. I kept gaining muscle through menopause. I kept moving, and I
always think it's comical because I don't think you even mentioned perimenopause until about 3 weeks ago. And we've been working together for 2 years. Like every now and then it would kind of come up on a check-in of like, oh, I've been struggling with sleeping, or it's like, oh, I'm getting hot flashes, but it was never like everything together. But I think a lot of the times we see people think like, oh, we're in perimenopause, time to shut it down, everything stops. And if anything, we coach our clients to really ramp it up and dial it in, because this is where bone density can really drop off. Hormones are going to be like a roller coaster, but a lot of the answers that the diet community gives is you need all these supplements, you need all these additional lab tests and panels. And I'm not trying to downplay medical testing, but in reality, for a lot of this, if you can just get to the level of food that you're eating and have it come from, like if your fat sources are coming from actual, meats and legumes and all that good stuff, if you're having that high fiber diet, a lot of that clears the way to allow great success to keep happening.
Yeah, it didn't slow me down at all. I mean, I was a slow loser to begin with, and it didn't slow me down in the gym. It didn't slow me down with my nutrition. And there were things that, yes, there are things that you have to work through from time to time, but they're not as disruptive as we like to make them out to be. And one of the things, and Rob knows that I'm kind of a straight shooter about this, is there is a moment where you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, the reason that the scale is going up, that I'm not lifting what I should, that things aren't going the way, is it menopause or am I bullshitting myself? It becomes another excuse. And I'm not going to say that some people's menopausal symptoms are worse than others, but still, when you're working out and you're eating this way, it regulates a lot of the systems in your body. So you just have to keep doing the unsexy work. I still to this day eat this. I've been eating the same breakfast for 2.5 years, and I'm still going to eat it tomorrow. That
But you
hasn't
like it
changed.
though, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
It works. I know it works with my macros.
it's funny. We've had so many dietitians and we've had bariatric chefs come on, and even the chefs and the dietitians will tell you, like, yes, we want your food to taste good, but not every meal has to be this massive dopamine surge. It just has to be something you can like and eat on repeat. And I think, when people always ask, like, what is Lisa doing? Like, how does she get this? How is she lifting heavy? I'm like, guys, it's the most unsexy playbook you could
It really
imagine,
is.
and it's getting phenomenal results. And I know this because I don't get to see Lisa in person. And when we do our one-to-ones, it's just like this YouTube video. We really see like shoulders up. So I'll notice a little bit in your facial appearance, and I'll be like collarbones coming in, or her shoulders look a little bit more capped than they did a year ago. And then when I see her in person, every time it's like leaner, tighter, fiercer. I'm really afraid the next time I see you, you're going to just beat the daylights out of me.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible. I got to push those numbers. I'm really.
You spent 3 full days with me in St. Louis, and I think the best thing that could have happened is that I had to go back home for a day and then come back, so everyone could get a break of me. But in all seriousness, though, you've done an amazing job. And at the end of, I want to say last year, like this time last year, Lisa really did say, like, what if we made summer camp more engaging? What if we had camp counselors to kind of help guide people through? What if we had activities and things led by the campers so everyone could check in? And it really did foster this sense of community. Why was it so important for you to continue to build the community within Busy Bariatrics?
Well, I love the community within Busy Bariatrics, and at this time there were 13 of us, so we
13.
were kind of tight. We got a good group there, and we had new people coming in. We wanted new blood, but my thought was also, I want people to feel comfortable coming into an established group. It can be difficult. You think about it as like the new kid coming to school. Everybody's really nice, but it can just be intimidating because people know each other. They have inside jokes or whatever. So I thought about it like the new kid in school, and just having somebody to sit at the lunch table with would make that transition easier. And we did our inaugural counselors last year, and we've got a great new group this year. But I think it's just important that Busy Bariatrics be the most welcoming place that it can be, because it's not just the nutrition and the workouts. It's the support. It's being with other like-minded people. And, sometimes people don't find support in their day-to-day life that they can find in the hive. And so it was just important to keep continuing to, as we grow, keep it being a very welcoming and inclusive place.
I think we're booming and better than ever. We're at an all-time high with people as of this recording. And last summer, because of the welcoming environment that Lisa and the other counselors made, nobody left. Like traditionally the year before, summer camp would end and we would almost lose half our clients because it's like, it's September, I did this thing and then I'm done. And they built such a party atmosphere that was great that nobody left. And I found myself in September like, oh, it was cool to have like 45 clients when I was, having the whole
When you
summer
weren't
off and I could be like
teaching.
a full-time coach. I wasn't teaching. I had to go back to like working 38 hours or so. And I kind of gave an all call to the counselors and said, hey, if anyone has a knack for this, all four of you were so phenomenal that I think each one of you could have stepped into the role. And Lisa, you just kind of stepped up and said, well, I'm going to take the course. And just like she handled her nutrition and her fitness, it would be just these little updates every 2 weeks. I'd be like, how's everything going with getting your NASM cert? And be like, I'm up to chapter 2. And then 2 weeks would go by. I'd be like, I'm on chapter 5. And then it was like 10, 12, 24. I'm sitting for the test. I passed. I'm getting my nutrition 2, 4, 6, 8. And it's just been phenomenal. Why did you feel a need to become a coach?
I mean, first of all, the program was so good for me. I don't want to be I was a member of the hair club for me. Oh, that's dating me, isn't it? Anyway.
You're our age demographic anyway, so you're totally fine.
Yeah, I'm 50. But it was such a great support to me, but also like a great driver. And I really wanted to be a part of doing that for somebody else because it was so what Rob did for me and what the community did for me was just absolutely integral to me getting to where I was going. And like, again, I'm at my maintenance weight now, but I'm still getting pushed in the gym because I am still a client and I am still Rob's client. And I still
only client I program for. If anyone wants to know, I only like literally, if you look at our rosters now, I handle the mindset and the nutrition for a large sheath of our clients, but the day-to-day programming goes to Lisa. The only one who actually gets feedback from me is Lisa at this point when it comes to lifting. And it's just a testament of how well you came into coaching, just like you did as a client. You did a really good job of asking all the right questions, but also being intuitive of what do I see us needing down the road. And the biggest way that Busy Bariatrics has taken off in the last year is we now have so many different programs to reflect corrective exercises, injuries, swaps, things that I would kind of get to. But Lisa, can you kind of tell like why different programming is so important and why we chose to go in so many different directions?
Sure. I mean, part of it is because people like me stick around and we need new programming because we've been here so long. But, it's really about not making the client fit to the programming, but the programming fits the client. So a lot of the programs that we're building right now are born out of who's in our group and what their needs are. I just finished some programming for neurodivergent clients, which gives a little more variety. And it's meeting the needs of our clients. So, we're going to be
real
working
quick.
on more.
I want to cover that so everyone knows where I think Busy Bariatrics stands out more than most other programs that are either using copy and paste, cookie cutter programs, or just stealing stuff off the internet and going it. We actually program for muscle volume, distribution, and with meso, macro, and microcycles to make sure that we have your whole lifting journey come through. And it's why we are a stickler for you need to do these exercises kind of in this order and you need to progress in this way because it will get you the same results that Lisa has. Mm-hmm. But when we wanted a neurodivergent program, we always listened to feedback of clients and we kept hearing like, I kind of get bored doing the same exercises week over week over week, which I personally feel allows you to develop more, but you can make the argument there's other ways to do it. So I tasked Lisa to create a program where we work the muscle volume the exact same amount as our regular programming, but to make every exercise completely different from the one previously, which meant that she had to make, what would that be? Like 36 different workouts essentially for a 3-month program? Give or take?
Yeah, we do every level is 12 weeks and we have 3 levels of neurodivergent programming. So we have the beginner, the intermediate, and the advanced levels. And no 2 day, no 2 days in a row are the same. And it really, my neighbor decided to start his motorcycle, but yeah, it was interesting. It was an interesting exercise, but it's going to be helpful to somebody. It's going to be helpful to somebody for whom doing the same exercises, even for 4 weeks, is boring. Because you know what, the best exercise for you is the exercise you do. And so if we can help keep you in the gym and we can help keep you engaged, then we'll write programming for it.
Yeah. And it's been phenomenal because we now have all of these different programmings. We have resistance bands. We've rehauled our home gym programs. We're going back and looking at the old programming that I used to write and things that Lisa's noticing, because even just having a relationship of two coaches that can look at each other's work and say, I think we need to tweak here, or we think we need to tweak here. It's the best part of, I think, our coaching staff is we don't really do it publicly or outside, but we go into our own group and we say, hey, how do we get better every day? And we tweak and we adjust. And I'm excited because as much as I love programming, I couldn't think of a better person to hand it off to than you, Lisa.
Thank you. Part of it for me too is the opportunity just to learn something. Like, I'm 50 years old and I don't get great learning opportunities all the time anymore. And really being able to absorb all this information that's coming my way from Rob, which our clients have access to too, is like, we have a phenomenal program there with a lot of information and a lot of resources for our clients. And then, I have my other educational opportunities. I'm doing a mastery of programming design course right now, which is exciting for me.
The coolest part of watching Busy Bariatrics grow is I truly believe each one of our coaches is getting better in some aspect of the business than I ever could have been. And I'm just so excited for this next chapter of your journey, Lisa. Before we close out, though, have you listened to an episode of the podcast yet?
Of course I have.
All right, so then you know that we're going to go through our rapid fire round of our favorite parts of the Busy method. So each letter stands for something. You're going to shoot off the first answer you can think of. Starting with B, building habits. What's your best habit that you've developed since joining Busy Bariatrics?
It is having a handful of go-to recipes and meals that I can plug right into my tracker. I know I'm protein forward. I know I have fiber in it, and I know I have some carbs to keep me going. Having some balanced meals at the ready is a good one.
Love it. And that leads us into you, understanding nutrition. Favorite thing you've learned about nutrition since joining Busy Bariatrics?
Is that you just have to stick to it. You just got to dial it in. Every part of your macro has a reason and has something that it does for your body. And you just understanding that, you got to make sure that you're hitting all your numbers.
Love it. How do you like to stay active?
Well, I love lifting weights. Yeah, I'm in the gym a lot and I'm a lifter. So that's my favorite.
And she will prove it to you if you ever get the chance to work out. Best way you show up for yourself first?
It's something I struggle with, and I'm sure a lot of women my age do too, is really putting yourself on the roster. But I'm making time, actually through calendaring. It's a skill it's another habit that Rob teaches. But through really managing my calendar, I've been able to find places that I can do things for myself. And then, I decided I'm going to get a massage once a month. So that's like me scheduling me some time.
Love that so much. And your favorite healthy source of dopamine?
My dog. I have a little corgi who's like my heart. And he, if it's a bad day, he just jumps up on my lap. Everything's
just always fun. And we love Ziggy so much whenever we get to see him. He really is the best. I have to also say, Lisa was the most amazing person to lead a workout with when we were at First Form in St. Louis. And I couldn't think of anyone greater to share the stage than you. And I am so happy about this next stage. So for anyone who is listening who's over 40, feeling like it's too late or that they're not losing fast enough, what would you say to them as someone who's been on both sides of the journey?
It's never too late. And it's just about setting your mind to it and you can do it. Remember that it's progress, not perfection. And you just go do it bit by bit, whether it's losing weight pound by pound, whether it's upping your lifts pound by pound, you just keep at it and you'll get there. the consistency is what will deliver you.
And it couldn't be said by a better person. So with that, Lisa, we're going to close this one up. All right, Busy Bariatrics, if this one hit, that means it's time to stop collecting awareness and start applying action. Don't just nod along. Go prove to yourself that you're coachable, consistent, and capable. Leave me a comment on the episode on Spotify about what you're going to do now that you've heard this episode. And as always, keep getting busy. Bye, Lisa.